Now joined by Donna Moodie. Donna with Capitol Hill EcoDistrict. How are you?
I'm great. It's really nice to be here.
Yeah, welcome to the Morning Update Show.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
No, no, it's good. I'm glad. I'm glad that we put a call out and you guys answered the call. Been wanting to talk to task force members here for a while. I know we had an opportunity to talk to Sharon last month, but I was 26. So I guess we should tell people it's 26 members on the task force. It's a lot of people.
It is a lot of people, but it was a really amazing group of people. I love the work we did, and I also love the opportunity to get to meet and work with a lot of those people.
Tell us about that process of being there, on the task force. And I will say this, just in full transparency, we as members of the media, we didn't get as much insight into the process as we would have liked. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
We wanted to follow the process. We wanted to interview people during the process. So now here we are at the end of the process. All I can do is ask you, how did the process move along?
I hear you, and I hear you about that feeling that we were quiet, but I think we were quiet because we were busy. And we were really dedicated to kind of shutting some noise out and getting some work done. So we broke ourselves into groups, and our groups were pillars. The pillars were business, education, we had a housing one, and then also a health one. And I was on the business one because I also own Marjorie Restaurants, so I'm a small business owner, and I felt like I could contribute to that. But the way we worked together, we talked a lot, like we would meet individually in our pillars and then also meet as a group. So we were very aware of what everyone was doing, and we would talk about it and share ideas, share data, collect information together. And I was really surprised at just how busy the work was and how we all kind of had our heads down and really just focused on how do we get a program to get this money out and get it well spent and get it to the community and not caught up in the bureaucracy or the red tape of who distributes it and how it's distributed.
Right. And, when we always say community here, and it's a word that's thrown around a lot in the city.
I hear you.
How intentional and how successful do you think that this task force was in being able to represent, yes, community as a whole, but there's all these different areas, like elders are a member of our community, and even within elders, there's some elders that are homeowners and that are dealing with issues around MHA and taxes. There's some elders that are that are looking for affordable housing. There's our young people, and our young people, many of them who are just moving straight ahead might just need a little bit of support. And then we also have some young people that we're working with over here in issues around violence and gun violence disruption. And there's business, there's such a range there. How accountable and intentional were your actions in being representative, as much representative of the community?
One of the things that I can speak the strongest to business, although I do have familiarity with the other pillars that we did. But one of the things we did with business was to work with OED. And I was really surprised because when we started working with the OED, when they came in to offer some help, the Office of Economic Development, they showed us how we can take that $30 million and make it actually work. And we worked with Ken Takahashi, and he explained like some of the tax regulations that we had to deal with, the whole idea with like gifting and penalties so that we could actually maximize the 30 million, which for business was 7.5 million. We took 2.5 million of that and put it towards technical assistance, which might also seem ambiguous, but a big part of that was to do outreach to different members of the community so that we're not targeting the same old people that always hear about programs, but that we're actually doing outreach to get to the elders, get to the young people that want to start up a business but think it's impossible, get to people that are in business and struggling and think they're just going to fold, but maybe with a little bit of help they might be able to cross the finish line and actually have a successful business. We really wanted to talk to people about how to use the money once they get it, to make sure that people aren't getting money and then they get so busy that they're not really able to take full advantage of what they've been given. So a big part of our focus was how do we get people money, make the interest rates low for anything that is a loan, and also try to make a lot of it grants or forgivable loans where people don't feel like they've just gotten a new burden along with the burden of having a small business in the city.
Right, and one of the things you talk about right there when you say burden, a lot of times there are some resources that are available, but the barrier to entry is very high for people in our community, especially business owner. I'm a small business owner. You look at some of these things, 70, 80 pages, all kinds of documentation. You're just like, and you keep it pushing. when you're talking about making these resources available for small business owners or people who aspire to be in business, and we're going through this RFP process over here, you know, what resources might be out there to be able to assist people in getting through that RFP process? A lot of times that might be their first time ever doing it.
I'm so glad you asked that. And the other thing, Trey mentioned it a little earlier too, is trying to look at like the whole person. And I think when you talk about business owners, a lot of times, especially people of color, Black business owners, Indigenous business owners, they feel like they're not talking to their people to help them get started. And so one of the things that we asked OED was to really hold up some of the CDFIs to actually have consultants on their staff that looked like us, so that you're not kind of groveling for money with people where you feel like you don't have any dignity left. We wanted people to feel like we believe in you, we see a potential business success here, and we want to talk to you about how to do that better. We want to help you fill out this form. In fact, we want to go to some people and say, have you heard about this? You should come in and fill out this form, and we will help you fill out this form. We know they're tedious. We know they're hard to fill out. We know sometimes people don't understand when that first payment is due, or what the interest rate is, or how they can make a loan become a forgivable loan or a relieved loan, or how they can turn it into a grant. Like, our whole focus was, how can we make this easier, more approachable, and more successful, and keep our city full of a diverse amount of businesses and not start to have big boxes take over some of the empty shelves we have right now.
Right, and I think we have a slide here with some of your, were they able to put it together? So you said it's 7.5 million building opportunity through small business support, provide equitable small and micro business capital, offer small businesses technical assistance on financial health, digital tools, and construction support. Now, with this, like many other things, with this, you know, what a lot of times in government is really good at throwing things out, but there's no metrics to be judged against. You know, how do you guys know if these efforts were successful? And to be fair, it's almost nothing especially in government, it's 100%. But like, what kind of things do you guys impose upon yourself as a task force, and even right here in this process, and maybe in the legislation, that the checks and balances to this?
I really appreciate your skepticism, because I think a lot of people in our society right now have skepticism about government, about handing the money out, and what happens after that money goes into the hands of people. And I think one of the things we really wanted to do was keep checking in with people, also so they don't feel like you get money and then you're like done, and it's not one and done. Maybe you come back, you need more, maybe you find out that you could mentor another business. Maybe by people repaying with low interest rates, we keep a fund going. So a lot of our focus was to stay in touch with people, which is the technical assistance. Maybe people want like a little bit of marketing support. Maybe they want some education on how to modernize some of the digital or technological aspects of their business. So we really wanted to stay in touch with people and not just like do a transaction. We wanted a relationship. We want a relationship of small business community members that are talking to each other, supporting each other, and advancing and maybe scaling businesses so that we can start to create some generational wealth in our own communities.
Right, and now $30 million. You represent the business sector there.
Right.
7.5 million in the business sector. Is this one-time shot of $30 million enough? Or are you guys coming at this where you're looking to try to rally for sustained investment over amount of time? So I'll be honest with you, in reading the comments, people are like, yeah, okay, it's 30 million.
Right.
Then what? You know what I'm
Right.
saying? Hey, we tried it, we put 30 million out, there's nothing that's sustainable. What's the big picture around this investment?
So I think a lot of things about what the big picture looks like, but one thing I think is, like, if someone's saying, here's $30 million for your community, and our community is in need, like, then I want to try to figure out how to spend that money and get it back to the community. And if someone is also saying to me, if you make a model example of how this can be spent, and it's such a great model that we will duplicate it and replicate it and keep trying to fund it, you know, that's what I want to do. I want to make this so great that it continues. I don't want it to just be a one-time investment. I want it to be a pillar of what can happen when we invest in our communities. And when you think about the damage that has been done to a lot of communities in our city, people of color, the indigenous community, particularly the Black community, I don't think you can, $30 million is never going to undo that. Neither is $100 million, neither is $200 million. It's infinity what we owe those communities. But if we can start, and if we can start to build them up and start to have them have the generational wealth that many white communities have that have gotten breaks along the way, then I think we start to make an attempt to level the playing field. It's going to be a long time to level it, but we can certainly make efforts.
Right, we're over time, so I'll make this the last question here. How committed are you as a task force member of seeing this process through? Now, you guys have done your part here, as in that the legislation has now been transmitted over to City Council. They need to do their part to lift the proviso. People like OED and HSD and OH need to now do the RFP process. Community now needs to respond to the process. So the actual dollars reaching the streets, I know that you guys want to see it happen before the end of this year. But how committed are you now in this process? Is it now that it's transmitted, you're done, and you wait and see, or are you committed to seeing this process through?
That's a great question. For someone like me, I'm committed. Like, I'm in this. I want to see it be successful, and I don't want to just see success for this year. I want to see it for years to come. I want to see the BIPOC community build small business in the city, because I think the city will be a better city with that structure of small businesses. So I'm not just doing it for this one time only. I really want to see our city flourish, and I think our city will flourish with the diversity of many small businesses.
All right, good stuff. Donna Moodie. I didn't know you own Marjorie's, huh?
I own Marjorie's. You ate there. You know that.
Yeah, but
Stop trying to act like you don't know.
But I did. God's honest truth. I didn't know you were the proprietor.
Yeah, it's my place.
I'm gonna have to
That's
stop
why
by
I'm-
more often now.
That's why I'm such an advocate for small businesses. We need to see ourselves there.
I thought you were gonna say that's why the drinks were so strong for you. Thank you for stopping by.
And you're welcome anytime at the restaurant. Yeah.
Nah, I'm gonna pass by there.